Hey everybody, it's Jay Ball with Blue Jays Outdoors coming at you with another episode of the Blue Jays Maple Syrup Season 2021. And although most or all of the boiling is done for the main season, there's still two more boils we actually have to do. We still have all this syrup in the pan, which I'll show you guys, that I used to chase with water back in the day, but I actually found it was really difficult to do that and I wasted a lot of syrup. So what I'm going to do is actually drain all the syrup that's in the evaporator still, and we're going to boil that in the turkey fryer. But then there's still one more batch of syrup that we actually have to boil that you guys probably have never seen before, but I'll show you that as well. So first off, let's just take a look. This is all the high concentrated syrup slash sap that's still in the pan that I just couldn't boil because you have to keep, I keep around 2.5 inches of syrup in the pan at all times. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to drain the high concentration sap syrup through this pre-filter or through this cloth filter, and then what we're going to do probably this weekend, I'll just make this one video, is actually boil this down and get another batch of syrup. There's probably at least another, I would say 1.5 gallons of syrup in here, maybe potentially even 2. This is going to be some dark, robust, really flavorful, really good for doing a lot of different seasoning and things like that. So let's just jump right into it. Let's get everything drained out of here into this bucket, and then I've got one more draw off bucket that we'll use. So yeah, stay tuned. Now that fun tour saw our process, filtering is something you can't rush. You can see we've got most of the syrup out. You can see there's quite a bit of buildup of sugar sand. It's all real fine sugar sand or niter, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to try as an experiment this year. So this is all the sap that I collected. You can see it's kind of cloudy, and what happens is when sap starts to go bad and spoil, it turns to vinegar, and a lot of producers actually use this to clean their pans. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to throw that sap in here and see how well it cleans it, because I don't want to do an acid bath. Now I can't leave it in there too long because I have to take the sugar shack down eventually. So let me pour the sap in there. I'll show you what it looks like. And then yeah, the next part of this video, I think what we're going to do is boil the syrup that we pulled out of the pan and see how much syrup we can actually get out of what was left in the pan this year. You can definitely tell that sap's gone bad. The milk's gone bad. Yeah, this is gonna start to stink. This is gonna start to ferment. It'll be interesting to see what this stuff looks like maybe in a week or so when I start taking the shack down. So let's let's boil that syrup. This is kind of gross. Well, as you just saw, we actually lit the turkey fryer. So it's been a couple days since we drained this syrup out of the main evaporator, and I just got it fired up. We probably have about maybe 3.5, 4 gallons. It's still in this bucket right here, maybe about 3 gallons in there. I'm hoping to get maybe 1.5 gallons of syrup potentially. So what I'm gonna do is just warm this up. I'll show you guys some tips and tricks. I'm actually gonna be doing a live stream at the same time. So I'm just gonna time lapse this until it gets heated up, and then what I'll do from there is show you guys some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years from boiling on a turkey fryer, because this is actually how I first started off making syrup, was on a turkey fryer. So let me get this thing heated up and I will catch up with you guys shortly. As you can see, we're getting really close to temperature. We're getting ready to start the live stream. So what I wanted to show you with that really quick time lapse is it does help putting a lid on the turkey pot, because it will boil faster if you have a lid on top of it. So I know there's been some debate over the years, but as much water as I've boiled and how much syrup that I've boiled, put a lid on top of your turkey fryer, the boil will happen quicker. So what I'm going to do is just start pouring this sap in here, or pouring this syrup in here. Once it starts boiling, I'm going to start the live stream. And then what I do is once I start pouring syrup into the turkey fryer, I'll show you guys actually how I do that to try to help keep it from boiling over. I do have my defoamer. I keep this with me as well, just so I don't have a boil over. But once this thing gets rolling, I'll turn the heat down And I'll try to keep it balanced to where I'm boiling as hot as possible, as fast as possible, but not boiling over. So that is the trick with boiling on turkey fryer. And you can see we just started to get a boil. So what I'll do is I'll kick this down just slightly because I don't want it to boil over. So we'll just kick the temperature down a little bit. And heck, while we're doing it, I'll show you guys this. So check this out. So this is what I do actually. This is kind of a little tip and trick for you. See how it's starting to kind of foam over? It'll start to boil up really big. You gotta turn it down. And that's what you gotta be careful of. See, watch the defoamer. Now this is a food grade defoamer. Boop. There you go. See how it kills the boil? Not really kills the boil, it just kills the foam and keeps that down. So what I'm gonna do is just turn this down slightly. And then what I do is I'll take my measuring cup and I actually will just leave this sitting on the edge of the evaporator and let it warm up. And then as it starts to boil over, it actually fills this up and I don't lose my boil this way. So we'll just let that kind of heat up and pour in and not lose our boil. See how it's kind of pouring in there slowly? Well, as this starts to fill up and boil, this will actually fill up with hot sap or hot syrup and it'll pour in there. And then that way I never really lose my boil and it doesn't boil over. But you can see it's just kind of slowly draining in there. So yeah, that's how I boil in a turkey fryer. I'll just keep adding all of this syrup into here until we get all done. And then I'll start getting my hydrometer reading. And then we got syrup. So yeah, hang on. I'm gonna start the live stream. I'll time lapse a lot of this stuff and I'll be back with you guys shortly. So here's a tip and trick for you guys. See how it's getting ready to boil over? Well, as that cold syrup gets the foam in it, and actually keep the boil down. Check this out. This is kind of something I learned. Watch, it's gonna start filling up in there and then it's gonna pour in and it's gonna knock that foam down. Then you just pour it, look at that. See how that foam goes down? That's one way to keep it from foaming over and not losing your boil. So there's a tip and trick for you. We can wave to the live stream. Look at, there's the live stream. Hey, you live stream. Yeah, YouTube video and live stream at the same time. Don't know if that's cliche or not, but it is what it is. Let's keep boiling. We're getting there. You guys can see we're getting down to the last maybe 2 gallons in there. So we're getting close. Hey, there's a live stream. Look at, we're live streaming on Instagram and making a YouTube video. Hey guys. There, now you guys are all on a YouTube video. Hope you guys don't mind. So as you just saw, we just put the last of the syrup from the evaporator that was cold into the turkey fryer. So now we're just gonna let this stuff boil down. Has gotten dark. Hopefully I can keep the lighting good, but we're just gonna keep boiling this down. I'll keep checking with my hydrometer, and hopefully, like I said, we'll get maybe another gallon of syrup. I really gotta watch now because it will want to boil over pretty easy now that's in the turkey fryer and I don't have any cold sap to put into it. So I just gotta really monitor it. So I stopped the live stream. I was running the live stream for a little bit, which you guys all saw. So hang tight with me. We'll get some syrup made tonight, I promise.
Let the water kind of push.
How cool is this? I'm watching Alex Rudd, Mikey Balls, and Benjamin Nowak's live stream on YouTube right now. We're making maple syrup. These guys are legends, y'all. This is so cool.
Literally inside that one little island.
And as you can see, I know the light's not the best, so I apologize, but we are getting down. We're now down below the cup. I've been measuring with the hydrometer, and we're just getting close to getting a hydrometer reading. So we'll just keep time-lapsing it, and we will draw this stuff off here, hopefully within the next hour. So stay with me. We've been at it now for close to 2.5 hours, I think. It's 9 o'clock, and we started at 6:30. So we'll keep cranking away. All right, we just got a hydrometer reading, so I'm still watching the live stream, but I wanted to show you guys.
Every July, I can go do it. And Caleb's told me he's done it before too, like deep boat dock. Like
He said we just got our first. It's just starting to float.
Throw a big
Watch.
in there and start working that thing out.
So we're getting close. Almost got syrup. Almost done. We're about 3.5 hours in. This takes a long time on a turkey fryer. I don't miss doing it this way. Stay tuned. We are finally getting real close. Let me show you what the hydrometer reading looks like. So hopefully y'all can see this. I know the lighting's not the best, but there's 55 bricks. We want to pull it off right around like 58. So you can see we are at 55, 56, almost 57 bricks. Almost there. We got a lot of syrup in here, actually, more than I thought. Probably close to maybe 4 gallons. There's a lot of syrup in here. I think it'll all fit in that 6-gallon bucket. I think we're gonna find out. Something I don't know if I've done very well explaining, but you can tell when your syrup is getting really close. Look at how tight those bubbles are. See how tight and small those bubbles are? We are really, really close to syrup. I mean, we are technically there, but we're not at 58 bricks. We're like 57 almost. But when it gets really, those bubbles get really close together, that's when you know you're really close. You can kind of see it. I apologize, I know the light's not the best, but we are really, really close. Super close. All right, we're finally there. I'm gonna pour it in the filter. We have finally got more syrup, and man, there's a lot of it too. Holy crap. This is a lot of syrup. Come on, keep running. Thing's gonna make it. All right, perfect, cool. All right, I'm gonna put the lid on this so it doesn't lose much more moisture. But we gotta get all the syrup out of the pan too, so hold tight. All right, so I just added some distilled water to try to get as much of this syrup rinsed out as possible. So it will thin it out a little bit, but it's gonna lose moisture. Okay, cool. I think we're good to go. Okay, so we just got back in the house. Tons of syrup in here, but what I'm gonna show you guys now is a little tip and trick that saved me almost a gallon of syrup last year. And this was an experiment that I ran. I didn't know what it was gonna turn out like, but I wanted to figure out how much syrup I was actually rinsing down the drain in the past several years. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna show you guys. You can see this filter here is full of syrup. There could be maybe a quarter of a cup or half a cup of syrup locked in there. There's also syrup on the utensils that I use, right? So what I do is I take distilled water and I heat it up and I rinse everything off with this same batch of distilled water. I'll go ahead and rinse out my turkey fryer here, try to get as much syrup as I can, and I'll keep it all in the same bucket, okay? And what I'll do is throughout the bottling process, I will rinse all my utensils in the same hot water. I'll warm it up periodically, rinse it out. I'll rinse all my filters with the same hot water. And let's see how much syrup we're gonna get out of all of the filters and out of all the utensils. It's shockingly It's surprisingly a lot. Like I said, almost a gallon last year I was rinsing down the drain. So let me get this warmed up and I'll show you this process real quick, and then we'll wrap this video up. And the next video that you guys are gonna see is hopefully of me bottling my very first batch of the 2021 maple syrup. First thing we're gonna do is like I said, you guys can see that syrup on the utensils here. So we're just gonna rinse everything off. The water's getting pretty warm. And I use distilled water just because I don't want any minerals in the syrup now. I don't want to add anything to it. So just kind of a rinse, get everything nice and clean. We're not done using the hydrometer. We're still going to use it. But again, I'm going to continue to use this same water as a bath to get as much sugar off as possible. We'll have to boil this down come the end of the bottling season, but again, there's a lot of syrup that I have been wasting. So now that I got that rinsed off, I'll go ahead and just pour the rest of this in here. And so there, so the utensils are rinsed off. We're gonna let this water warm up a little bit longer, and we're gonna rinse the filter out, give the filter a little bit longer to finish draining whatever syrup it can into the bucket. So the water's getting pretty warm. I've got the filter now in this bucket. Like I said, this bucket is going to be the bucket that I keep all this high sugar water in, basically. So what I'll do is, you can see the water's already turned a little bit colored. There's, you know, some maple syrup in it. We're just gonna start pouring it into the filter and rinsing it out. And you can already see the filter's coming clean. So I do this, again, just to try to salvage as much syrup as possible. You know, if you're a larger producer, this may be not as important, but being smaller producers, we need to try to salvage as much syrup as we possibly can. So I'm gonna just continue to rinse this off, and let me do this a few more times, and I'll show you what this filter looks like once I get most of the syrup out of it. Check this out. The filter is pretty much clean. You can see all the mostly heavy syrup. There's still a few corners that are full, but look at this. Look at how much syrup is down in the bottom of that bucket. And this is just from the first filter rinse. I'm gonna have several more filter rinses I have to do, quite a few more utensil rinses as I bottle the syrup, because I think I have at least 8 or 9 different batches of syrup that I will be bottling within the next day and a half, 2 days. So I think we're just gonna wrap this video up here, but I will make a video at the end of the season showing and highlighting just how much syrup I was throwing away, because it's quite a bit. So really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me for this very last boil of the 2021 maple syrup season. We do have to boil this down. Shouldn't take too long, but I guess that was the last official boil. This kind of stuff that I'm saving at the end is gonna be just for my own personal use, because it's gonna be really dark syrup. So again, thank you so much for your time. Remember, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can follow along anytime I post a new video. For daily updates, make sure you follow me on Instagram. That's blue_J_maple_syrup. And again, thank you so much for the support. And remember, the easiest way to change your attitude is by showing gratitude. Thanks. We'll catch you next time.